Brilliance Audio presents the unabridged recording of Just One Thing by Holly Jacobs, performed by Laural Merlington. Sometimes healing begins with one step, with one friend, with just one thing. Chapter 1. It was a Monday. I finished my day's work, fed Angus, and headed for the bar. I went to the corner bar every Monday. Why Mondays? Well, Fridays and Saturdays were for dates and desperate people looking to hook up with others. I wasn't dating, nor was I interested in hooking up. Sundays were for church, and it seemed wrong to go to a bar that day, even though I wasn't attending church anymore. God and I weren't on speaking terms. Still, no bars for me on Sundays. Midweek was filled with work around the cottage, so Mondays were my day. I spared the briefest glimpse in the mirror as I left and couldn't help but notice the gray hair that had started to weave its way through the darker strands. I fingered one particularly wiry piece, thought of plucking it, but in the end, I let it fall back in place. I'd walked the mile down the long dirt road to Mackey Hill, a tarred and chipped country road, then down it another mile to Lapp Mill. The people in town said that if you blinked as you drove through Lapp Mill, Pennsylvania, you could miss it entirely. Though it was home to a thriving Amish community, the northwestern Pennsylvanian town didn't get the attention that its eastern cousin, Lancaster, did. It was a small, quiet community. It didn't have a grocery store, though it did have a post office, 2 churches, and a bar. I passed by the churches and the post office, then walked into the corner bar and sat down on my stool. Sam, the bartender, served me a Killian's in an iced glass. He was tall with dark, shaggy hair and light blue eyes. I'd only noticed his eyes on my last visit. But the hair, I'd wanted to tell him to trim it for weeks, but I'd refrained.
"Hey, why does she get special treatment?"
A regular at the other end of the bar shouted as he eyed my iced glass.
"She's prettier than you, that's why,"
Sam shouted back. Then he looked at me.
"One thing."
"One thing," I agreed. I'd been coming to the bar for about 6 months. 6 months of Mondays. The first 4 months I kept to myself, and everyone pretty much let me be. But 8 weeks ago, Sam had insisted I tell him one thing before he'd served me my kill.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?